Hello and welcome to the Go East Festival for Central and Eastern European Films. My name is Dominik Streib and I am the program coordinator of the festival. Next to me on the screen you see Stephan Komandarev. Thank you, Stephan, for being here online for us. He's the director of Rounds, a competition film which was in Go East competition this year, and also the winner from our main prize for the best film, and also the winner of the best feature film from the Fibrescu jury. So yeah, the jury liked your film, both juries. So thank you for that film and congratulations for the awards for Rounds.
Thank you very much, and really I would love to be there.
Yeah.
During May, but also now. But this is the reality.
Yeah, we have to face it, yes. In Rounds, we see Bulgarian, or not specific Bulgarian, but it's also, I think, could be transferred to another society through the eyes of police officers. In your previous film, Directions, you had a kind of a similar approach with taxi drivers. Why do you decide to do a film now with a view of police officers to see what is happening in Bulgarian society?
But basically the idea was and still is to make a trilogy. So Directions, the first film about taxi drivers, was the first film. Rounds was the second, and now we are preparing the third one. And the basic idea about these three films, about this trilogy, is to make something like a portrait of the Bulgarian society 30 years after the changes. You know that last year was important anniversary for us, for Europe, 30 years after the fall of the Berlin Wall. So at the beginning, we had this idea about taxi drivers, because taxi drivers, they are on the streets during the day, during the night. They know the reality directly from the front seat of the taxis, of taxi cabs, not from the media, not from the TV. So we started the first film, we collected many real stories, we met many real taxi drivers, and we did the script. And we started and we did the film. During the making of this film, we noticed that during the night, we see also, on the night of Sofia, we see taxi cabs, but also a lot of police cars. Mm-hmm. So that's why naturally somehow came the idea to make the second film about the police cars and the police officers during the night. Because also they are on the front line of everything that is happening, especially in the night of Sofia. And you can see through their story, the reality and the social atmosphere, everything that is happening at the moment. And also we did the second film to happen exactly in the night of celebration of 30 years of the falling of the wall, because I told you it's an important anniversary. In these 30 years, there was many important things that happened here, many positive things, but also a lot of negative things. 1/3 of the population in Bulgaria left. The level of the education collapsed. The standard of the life of the people collapse, and the most important thing that for me is the main problem here is the big inequality. You know that Bulgaria is the champion in the European Union when we talk about inequality. And we took this decision to make the film about police officers. And again, when we started to write the script, we become very close partners with the biggest syndicate organization of the police officer in Bulgaria. We collected again many real stories from the police officer, and that's why we built the script of the film that you know. So I can say that big part of the stories in the film is inspired from the real stories.
Yeah, it was also my next question, because I think the there is a big authenticity from police work in your film. I think it's very authentic, or maybe it seems to me quite authentic. And you said you did a lot of research with police officers and talked to them. And there are these big themes like corruption, vandalism, abuse of power. These are the big social topics, but there are also these individual themes for the cops, especially in the episode with Elena and Marin, with the night they have spent together, and she refuses him, and also his former teacher. These are also real stories from the officers you talk to, or is it more invented in the screenplay from you?
It's mixed, of course. In every of these stories, there is a real story behind. But especially for Marin and Elena, this was invented in the script, but mostly it was developed after, during the rehearsals in this room, around this table, the rehearsals that we did with the two actors for months. We did months of rehearsal, we changed many things, we developed this love story between them. It was not in the script. We developed during the rehearsals. And usually this is somehow in my way of work. I invite my actor to become something like a co-author of the script. I give them the liberty to improvise, to think together, to change, in order to become more human, more authentic, everything that we will see later on the screen.
I read an interview with you where you talked about the power of cinema, I think it was kind of. And so I think with Rounds, you make it a really good genre film, which has these social topics and individual topics of the protagonists. And what do you think is the power of cinema when you have this variety of topics and the variety of feelings? What can cinema probably change in society when you show these things?
You know, I will tell you that something that happens the last few months that really, me too, I was not prepared for this. Maybe you know that from the summer, already more than 120, 130 days in Bulgaria, there is everyday protest about the corrupted government. Especially during the summer, there was every evening thousands and thousands of people in the streets of Sofia. And there was really they still exist, very powerful movement against the situation here. And somehow there was a phenomena in the social media people started to cut episodes from Rounds and to diffuse this in the social media, connected with different events that are happening today now in Bulgaria. I can give you an example. The episode with the drunk politician who was catched by the night, there was a similar things that happening here in the summer. Immediately, part of the film was put in the social media, started many discussions that even a big percentage of the people commented that they didn't understood that this is a piece from the film. They think that this is something documented. So somehow something happens this summer that somehow this film became part of everything that is happening today in Bulgaria. So that's why I think that, of course, cinema and reality cinema can react, can have some impact to the reality. And this is somehow the main reason for me to make my films, because I'm trying with this film trying to change something, to push something here in order that this place, this country, this society become more and more something, more and more good place to live. Because as always I say, here is my family, here are my two kids, so I'm doing this in order to try to transform this situation here in a better place.
I've read it in another article. I think you are from a doctor, and the diagnosis is for you the most important. And I think with Rounds you do it in a great way, because you open up many topics, but it's a diagnosis, and the audience has to look what they can do with it, and how they can react, or what is the solution of it. And I really like this at Rounds.
I don't know, maybe in the same interview that you read also, I think I said one time that when I was a student of medicine, we have a very good professor of internal medicine, and he told us, this was his famous sentence, that the right diagnosis is 80% of the right treatment. So somehow, if you have a right diagnosis, the treatment will be much more easier. So I'm a filmmaker, and I'm trying to do this with my films.
You mentioned now the impact from Rounds on social media and so on. How was the general reaction from cinema audiences to Rounds in Bulgaria?
The reaction was first many articles, many discussion in the social media, different point of view. So it was something that we expected. Including between the police officer, because the police officer, they help us a lot. The first ever public screening of our film in Bulgaria, ever in Sofia, was 1 year ago in a big cinema in the center of Sofia, in front of 450 police officers.
Okay.
Including the head of the Ministry of Interior, the police ministry. So somehow between them, the film was a huge impact after this. And after this screening, there was a Q&A that our plan was that this Q&A will be something like 12, 20, 30 minutes. It was 1 hour and a half, with many questions, including I saw a police officer with tears in the eyes. They told us for the first time we saw our film on the big screen. So somehow for them also this was a real event. So we did the thing that we wanted to do. We wanted to start a discussion where we are 30 years after 89. Because it's time to make the balance, because me and the people of my generation, we are not happy at all with we didn't dream 89 or 19 where we were on the streets. We didn't dream that 30 years later we will be in this situation like today.
Yeah, the film is kind of an inventory what happened after 30 years of the fall of the Berlin Wall. Yeah. Maybe let's get to another aspect of the film, the cinematography, because every little episode is made in a one take, as I remember, right? What was the approach? Because sometimes it seems also when the camera gets out of the police car and is in the back of the police car, as a viewer, it seems that I'm kind of a third officer in the car. Maybe you can tell us something more about this approach with these one takes and these very flexible camera movements. What was the intention?
This was the basic idea. First, the idea was that the film we must have maximum this documentary style, with no editing. Every episode in one shot. Somehow the camera is taking part in the story, like a participant. In the same time, this was the only way to make the film, because the film was really very low budget. We did the film with less than 150,000 euro was the budget of the film. We spent months of preparation, of rehearsing every shot, months. We shot the entire film as a rehearsal with the actors on the location, but without professional camera, sound, light, etc. We did every episode of the film. We like a rehearsal. We did the editing of this pre-film. And 2 weeks before the start of the principal photography, we had 1 hour, 45 minutes film. We watched this with the actors, with the crew. We changed many things, and this gave us the possibility, when we started to shoot the film only for nine nights, because everything was so well prepared. And this documentary style without editing helped a lot the film to keep this spirit of authenticity and realism. That's why this happens after, when pieces of the film was presented from the people in the social media, that many of the members of this social media, they took the decision that this is not a feature film, but this is a documentary film. So this was our way to make the film.
Everything seems to be quite planned, because when you watch the film, you in these long takes, sometimes you have the feeling that there could also be a lot of improvisation from the actors or something, but everything was very planned accurately.
Yeah, because this is there is no way the actor can improvise in a very small frame, because everything is connected with the movements of the camera. The DOP knew in every sentence in which direction the camera must be. So, of course, we have a very long period of improvisation during the rehearsals, but at the moment of the shooting, everything was already fixed.
You mentioned rounds as well as directions as part of this trilogy about contemporary Bulgaria. You are also planning right now the third part of the trilogy?
Of course. So the third film, we are already in process of preparation, pre-production. We hope to shoot in 1 year. The script is ready. Part of the financing is also secured, so we are in preparation. Here in the third film, our main heroes will be the old people in Bulgaria, because they suffered at maximum about this during these 30 years of transaction. And they are mostly the victim of everything that happened in this country for these 30 years. Because today, the old people in Bulgaria, they live with a very small pension. For them is something like a luxury to have normal food, to have medical care, to have heating at home. And it was a natural decision that for the third film, they will be the main hero of the film. So I hope next year at this time that we will, I hope already there is no coronavirus pandemic, etc., and that I hope that we are in the shooting. So in 2 years, I will be really happy to have the opportunity to present the new film. This time in the real life.
Person and in the cinemas.
Yes, this is for me the most important thing, because nothing can, it's not the same, the online presentation, etc. I cannot compare with the audience full of people.
Okay, Stephan, thanks you for your time and the insights you gave us for Rounds.
Thank you.
And to our audience, you can watch Rounds and all the other competition films at Xground On Demand, and there you can also vote for our Audience Award.